What is up, everyone? Chris Manning here from the Locked On Cavs podcast with my co-host Evan Dammerl. On today's show, it's all about Cavs Lakers from Monday night. Let's get into it.
Cavs need a three. Sexton works on Irving, trying to get loose. He'll fire. Hey! Knocks it down! Ground. Here goes Okoro to the bucket, and oh my! Okoro throws it down. 10 seconds to go. Here comes Colin Sexton. Sexton chased by Hill. Off to Stevens. Oh my! 45 ticks to go. That shot is blocked by Nance.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Prince knocks down that Harden pass. Garland's there. Garland upstairs for Allen. Oh, look out!
There you go. That's called team ball right there.
First, want to thank you for making Locked On Cavs your first listen every day. Remember, we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. I'm Chris Manning, cover the Cavs for places like Diamond, Uprocks, and FearTheSword.com. That is Evan Dammerl. He covers the Cavs primarily for Facebook, Sword.Euclid, as well as FearTheSword.com.
Yeah, baby.
The Cavs lost to the Lakers Monday night, 131 to 120. A little bit, to me, of a bad loss. I think this was a game. The Lakers on overall are not good. They're 30-41 on the season. You pointed this out to me pregame. Had the Lakers lost this game, they'd have been guaranteed to finish under 500, and odds are they're going to be an under 500 team when it's all said and done. But LeBron James, I believe he's now 17-1 in his career when playing against the Cavaliers.
Thanks, StatMuse.
That actually got this from a friend of the program, Eric Jackman, a.k.a. New York Rick, the social media guru from MMAfighting.com. Shouts to Eric. I have the text to prove it. I love Eric. 38 points for LeBron, 12 assists, 11 boards.
Would your friend Rick ever think about turning himself into a pickle? It'd be the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I will ask him, and I'll see what he says. But Darius Garland had 29. Evan Mobley was plagued by foul trouble, limited to 27 minutes. Cavs obviously without Jared Allen. Evan, the Cavs lost, and they're fortunate, I think, that the Bulls did beat Toronto. That helps them out a little bit in the standings here. But this was a game I think they obviously would have liked to have coming off of those two big wins over the weekend, and instead they kind of fall a little bit flat.
Yeah, JB Bickerstaff said post-game that they were a bit of the prisoners of the moment, and they kind of let the fact that this was the LeBron James show. I had somebody mention to me that win or lose, LeBron is going to be the center of attention. He really was. The fans were super engaged. There's a ton of Lakers fans in the stands in general, but more so a lot of LeBron fans there who definitely paid for what they or got what they paid for, at least. And this is a tough one. I think this is a tough win or loss to the Cavs. I have to take this one on the chin and try and just gear up and look themselves in the mirror and just kind of reassess themselves mentally and get ready for a game against Toronto on Thursday, because win or lose, if the Raptors won or the Raptors lost, the game's still significant on Thursday. And the game against Chicago, on the other hand, is also just as significant because the Cavs need to really keep climbing the ladder. I think front of the program, Justin Rowan pointing out that the Raptors have to go 7-3 over the next 10.
He's a friend of the program now. You're not throwing barbs.
I don't know what you're talking about. And then the Cavs would have to go 5-5 on that same stretch. So the Cavs go 5-5. The Raptors would have to go 7-3 for the last 10 of the games of the season in order for the Raptors to leapfrog Cleveland. It's going to be a lot of just posturing. It's going to be really tight. It's really uncomfortable at times. I don't enjoy these games coming down to the end of the season being so stressful for us to watch and just take in. But I mean, it's fun basketball. Yeah, it's fun. It's engaging. It's fun to have these games mean something, but it's stressful when you kind of have a bit of a vested interest in this, just because we're talking about okay, the regular season ends April 10th, and we're in uncharted territory. We're at the mercy of the play-in tournament or the NBA playoffs at that point. But this is a tough game. I think the Lakers really figured out that Evan Mobley is a rookie, and the fact that they're lacking Jared Allen kind of forced a ton of defensive pressure on Evan Mobley. I mean, LeBron's just really hard to defend in space to begin with, especially when he's attacking the rim like that. But asking Mobley just to kind of deal with the Lakers' overwhelming size at certain positions kind of became too much, and I think the Cavs just fell apart defensively from there. I mean, that's my big takeaways. This Cavs team has stumbled quite a bit. This is the second most points they've given up this season, just defensively, the most being the season opener in Memphis, where they gave up 132. But it's becoming a recurring pattern. So on March 4th, they gave up 125 to Philly. And March 8th, they gave up 124, even though it was in a victory. It was still a tight one to the Pacers. March 16th, they gave a 118 to the Sixers. March 2nd, they gave one at 19 to the Hornets. Like, it's becoming a recurring issue for Cleveland where they are giving up triple-digit scores, and they just don't have the offensive firepower to keep up. Like, I think this is natural to expect the Cavs to regress defensively because they're a young team and they're kind of slowing down a little bit just in terms of energy and whatnot, but they just don't have the offensive firepower right now, especially without Jared Allen out there.
Yeah, I think the Jared Allen part of it is the key to this room because I felt his presence, his literal big presence, was clearly missing from this game, right? I felt particularly late. Look, the Cavs had a hell of a third quarter after kind of falling apart in the second quarter, getting outscored by 12 in the second quarter. They outscored the Lakers by 6 in the third, lead by 1 going into the fourth. What ends up happening is they lead the fourth quarter 35-23. In that fourth quarter, as a team, Evan shot 50% from the field, 3 of 9 from 3. So not like overwhelmingly great numbers. The Cavs, I'm looking at the wrong name. The Lakers in the fourth quarter shot 65.2% from the field in the fourth quarter. I was looking at the wrong color in the box score here. Only 2 of 6 from 3. So what does it tell you? It tells you the Lakers, and particularly LeBron James, who had 13 points and 4 assists in the fourth quarter, got downhill, and I think particularly went at Lauri Markkanen, even if it wasn't attacking Lauri one-on-one.
Oh, he was hunting Markkanen.
Yeah, so this is what I'm getting at. Even if it wasn't Markkanen, like him saying, I'm going to hunt you and force the switch and attack you downhill, it was manipulating where Markkanen was on the floor to get the kind of looks he wanted, to get the doubles that he wanted, to feed other guys, to find space in certain instances. Everything was built around manipulating what Markkanen was doing on the floor. It kind of took Evan Mobley out. Mobley was also limited by foul trouble in this game. This is the least I've ever felt his impact on a game, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just, he was out of the rhythm of the game in a lot of ways, and things just kind of spiraled in that fourth quarter, and it falls apart, and that gets you to a spot where, hey, like, you can even just, also LeBron just did some crazy shit, right? Like that shot he hit over Okoro pretty much defended that, like how I think you would coach that up, and LeBron just does LeBron shit. Like, I don't know, I don't really know what you're supposed
Great
to do.
Great defense, better offense in that scenario.
Easy.
He took, I think his post-game quote was funny where he says the one thing he regrets doing tonight was that dunk he had on Kevin Love. I like the slight shot he made, saying we'd still would have won by 9, but LeBron, it's insane he's doing this at 37 years old. I think the atmosphere was great, though. I'm glad it wasn't like a hostile crowd towards him. I think people just kind of enjoyed watching the experience. Even I did.
That was a LeBron. That was a LeBron crowd more than a Cavs crowd to me.
Oh, it absolutely. I mean, if you looked at the fans in the concourse when we were walking around, like after we did media availability, Chris and I stepped outside with Mac Robinson in front of the pod, Mac Robinson, and we saw like literally like enemies at the gate situation, like just people like waiting to get in. It's just swarms of banana yellow. And I'm like, yeah, let's just go get in line for food now because we were not going to get in the line after that. But it was cool to see that big of a crowd on a Monday night. But if you were a Cavs fan, I think you walked away feeling a little ho-hum after that effort on both ends of the floor from them because, like I said, just defensively, they're slipping a lot. And I think that's to be expected when you're missing Allen, and they're just a younger team in general. And they just lack that firepower. Like, yes, Isaac Okoro didn't miss a shot because he hit every single one of his attempts were from 3. Darius Garland was out of his mind at times offensively, but like, there's only so much Darius Garland can do. And when Karis LeVert just has like a strong 7-point stretch, and other than that's been pretty unremarkable. And Lauri Markkanen was strong in the first quarter, but pretty inconsistent for the rest of the game. And it's just tough. It's tough for the Cavs to keep up with arguably the greatest basketball player ever. And it's just, it is what it is. I guess you just got to pack this one away and move forward to Toronto.
Yeah, look, little bits of this game I think you could look at as kind of like abnormal. I think the Cavs' defensive up and downness, I think the fact that the defense wasn't quite as pristine as you would like, I think, is just the reality of where they are right now.
Phenomenal for the first 6 minutes, and then the Lakers bench you and just clawed them back in.
And they look really good towards the end of the third quarter. The Lakers also had perhaps like their best shooting game of the season. Like, some of this is just tricky to deal with. We'll come back to the Markkanen part of it all. I want to ask Evan a question about that when we kind of nitpick through the notes in the last segment. The real big thing here is just that this is a situation where they it would have been a third win in a row, would have been a third straight win at home. Unfortunately, lose for them, and they're kind of I think a little lucky. I think that Toronto also loses tonight, but it sets up a very, very important game on Thursday, a game with real stakes on the road. I think that will be. I'm very jealous of the. I actually don't know if like, you know, Fedor and Russo and others will just because of the travel situation, don't quite know what that looks like. I don't, but that is one of those environments that I think will be really important to see how they navigate that and what they get out of that, and it'll have a lot of weight to it. I mean, I don't know even if the Raptors have fans back or not yet, but anyway,
Thought you
we
were
have
just
time.
gonna say I don't even know if the Raptors have fans. I'm like,
No,
Chris,
the
you slide
Raptors have
on.
a lot of fans, and shouts to Sean Woodley. Go check out Locked On Raptors. But Evan, after the break, we're going to get off our awards. So that's MVP stat of the night and play of the night. But first, you are going to tell everyone about our friends at BetOnline.
You're absolutely correct. Football might be over for the season, but basketball is in full steam with both pro and college hoops. From the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land, betonline.net is the number one spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, UFC odds, right down to Olympic coverage information and more. So if you're interested, head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn about their trends in action. Right now, for instance, the Cavs are plus 4,000 win the Eastern Conference. If you believe in the team that much, or if you're a believer in JB Bickerstaff for Coach of the Year, he's plus 600. The second best odds to win the award right now behind Phoenix's Monty Williams at set minus 700. Or if you just want to bet on the games, you can do that at BetOnline as well. For instance, last night's game against the Lakers, the Cavs were 4.5-point favorites, and the Lakers obviously did not cover that because they annihilated the Cavs.
Yeah, the Cavs. I wrote this. The Cavs F that up, but the Cavs did not cover. Lakers covered and won.
There you go. So if you want to get in on the action, check out BetOnline today. BetOnline.net, where the game starts, and the exclusive betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Also, I want to tell you about our friends at Athletic Greens, a product I literally use every day. I started taking Athletic Greens because I wanted to take control of my health. With one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins and minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. It costs less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. It's cheaper than getting all of those different supplements yourself. You're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance, and it's trusted by leading health experts such as Tim Ferriss and Michael Gervais. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Again, that link is athleticgreens.com/NBA network to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Also, Evan, they sent us some great stuff. Evan had an issue with his bottle. They just comped him a new bottle to shake up his Athletic Greens. They're great customer service as well. Go check them out at
They rule.
athleticgreens.com/NBA network. All right. Cavs Lakers Awards. I'm Chris Manning. That is Evan Damrell. It's the Locked On Cavs podcast, your daily look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're here after the Cavs lost to the LA Lakers 131-120 on Monday night in Cleveland. Evan, MVP of the game. For me, it's just Darius Garland, and it's not necessarily because they didn't win. He wasn't. It felt like this became a LeBron game in a lot of ways, but Garland had a 29-point night, again played 40 minutes, had 17 assists against one turnover. That's kind of ridiculous.
Real careful with the ball. He was asked post game about careless turnovers, and he said, I only turned it over once. I don't think we were that careless with the ball. I just think it was bad execution at times for us. So
he's
so
good. He's very good. And
Wednesday's guest, Danny Cunningham, has a take on him.
Yeah,
you should listen in on that.
It's a very good tease. But it is very interesting how much is just relying on him right now. And this is one of those games where it's yes, Darius Garland has a 29 and 17 night, and it's so good. And it just kind of got overshadowed because a lot of other stuff just kind of didn't work because this team's just kind of in a funky spot right now. But to me, he was Cleveland's best player by a wide margin.
Yeah, well, I agree with your MVP pick. I think Garland is by and far Cleveland's best player tonight. He has been in general just this entire season. This ascension again. We haven't
to give out awards. If we do awards at the end of the year, he's the MVP pick for me.
Yeah, I mean MVP and MIP for me. Obviously, Moby's rookie of the year because he's the only rookie. Unless you but either way, my MVP pick was Lamar Stevens. He was a huge factor on both ends of the floor. I think he brought a lot of energy. I think he kind of kept the Cavs in the game a lot throughout this night against the Lakers. He was kind of throwing at LeBron quite a bit. I thought it was a bold move on JB Bickerstaff's part at the start of the game with Larry Markkinen on LeBron, and I think that just got LeBron in the rhythm pretty early there. But Stevens was really useful. He mentioned during shoot-around today that he wants to create more of an impact on the offense for Cleveland, and you saw it tonight where he wants to slash and cut to the basket more, just kind of make Darius Garland's life a lot easier, because you'll notice, especially in the fourth quarter, teams will double Darius at the top of the key. And Lamar wants to be a reliable, just wide receiver for Darius to string a pass to. And clearly it's working. I don't know exactly how many assists Lamar had off of Darius Dimes tonight, or buckets off Darius Dimes tonight, but it's effective. And I think the tandem of him and Isaac Okoro, they haven't played together a lot this year, but I think it's working for the Cavs right now. Interested to see how obviously they adjust the lineup and keep him on the bench once Jared Allen is back, but I wonder if maybe this is just another way to just kind of point at the JB Bickerstaff and say, hey, Lamar Stevens plays really hard every single night. He plays hard on both ends of the floor every single night. You should keep him as a consistent part of your rotation instead of just a guy who is ready for his number to be called at any given moment.
Good player. All right, Evan, a play of the night. Mine is
mine's the LeBron dunk on Kevin Love. That shit was disgusting.
That dunk was crazy. They clearly had a lot of fun with it. Kevin went over it, like they were
he wrestled him to the ground at like the start of the third quarter.
Yeah, and then like post game, he had that quote where he's to paraphrase LeBron said, "I wish if I could take anything back, it would be that." And like we still would have won by 9. I hope I can still come to the wedding. And then Kevin post game on Instagram said like, "Nah, I'm done with you," and like was joking about it. Like it's fun time.
Well, did you see Kevin's reaction after he got postered? He's laid on his back and looked around, just sprawled out like I'm dead.
The Kevin Love vibes remain like immaculate.
And,
it's quite weird.
Hey, LeBron James could do what John Morant could, and that's all I'm gonna say. So that's why it's my play of the night.
You're just always throwing shit out there, and
Hey, Sean Woodley, come at me.
You mean Sean Coleman?
Sean Coleman too, because Sean Woodley come at me because the Raptors are going to lose on Thursday.
All right, but mine is Darius Garland and Lamar Stevens. A Darius Garland Lamar Stevens connection, pushing the ball late third quarter. The Cavs are in the middle of this run. Darius Garland's just pushing the ball on the break. Lamar Stevens just kind of outruns everyone and cuts behind LeBron and gets a dunk. They do the little goggles at each other. It's fun stuff. Just good offense, good transition stuff. Darius and Lamar making plays. That's just a good NBA play right there. Evan, before we get to stat of the night, I just want to show the one LeBron thing I meant to mention at the top. Actually, we'll save that. But stat of the night, Cavs defensive rating 130.9. That's just like bad. That just tells you like that the defense is just like not cutting it right now.
No, the defense is not cutting it. Chris's stat of the night is my stat of the night because mine originally was going to be the Cavs have a winning record for the first time without LeBron since 97-98, but maybe that'll change Thursday against Toronto. I'll just keep that one in the old back pocket till then. But that's just objectively bad. And JB Bickerstaff kind of tore the defense a new one during post-game availability. He wasn't happy.
Sorry, I just if people on YouTube just saw me react, I just saw the cat dunk on Luka. And the Wolves are very fun. The Wolves are very fun.
Wolves are fun, and it's sometimes the nerdy hire is the right hire, folks.
Yeah, Chris Finch,
but
good coach. Evan,
Chris and I have a co-stat of the night, though. Long story short, that's just objectively bad for Cleveland, who's a defensive first team.
Look, I guess like I just attribute it to I attribute it to like two things. I think it's defense. I think it is missing Allen as the back line of your defense, and I think it is the and I think just like Mobley having to cover so much space when LeBron is the king and manipulating that stuff. I will be curious to see if this to some degree let's just say the Cavs play ball. This isn't like a likely outcome, but like Boston to me feels like a team offensively that could like really manipulate some of this.
Oh, Jason Tatum would roll them.
Well, it's like you have Tatum. You have Jalen, and you have, like, when they play Grant at the 4, Grant's had a great year. Love Grant Williams.
Robert
Williams, like, Horford's, like, as a secondary kind of ball mover and stuff. Like, they have guys that can kind of could make, like, and Tatum.
Boston's a weirdly constructed team where the pieces are starting to gel.
But Tatum, in particular, is averaging, like, 35 over, like, the last, like, 6. Like, it's just, he's having an insane run right now. Boston's really
for
good.
Sure. The Celtics are good. Hot take, but you know what else is really good, Chris? Today's sponsor, Rock Auto.
After the break, we're going to clean out our notebooks. I got some things I'm going to throw at Evan, but first you're going to talk about Rock Auto. So we have the professional transition here. You can't rush it. You gotta ease on the brake you just bought from Rock Auto and make it last a long time.
That's true. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it is now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to sell all the stock parts your car needs. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questions and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only brand their warehouse happens to carry? You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Save up to 30%, 50%, or even 100% more by using rockauto.com, today's sponsor. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years, and their prices are reliably low and are for every customer. They have everything you need from brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. So, if you're interested, go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On, and they're how to hear about us box. So they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Check them out today at rockauto.com.
Evan once used them too, so go support them because they support us.
The covering eyes was for emphasis because I love that ad copy so much, and I've read it so much over the last year. I have it memorized.
You
It's
are the
in my
rock god.
dream.
You are. I do to sign you rock god. Okay, last segment. Chris Manning, Evan Damrell. That's your daily look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. I want to note just real quickly. Isaac Okoro is 4-4 from 3. The numbers do not indicate that like he is actually like an improved 3-point shooter, and particularly a corner 3-point shooter. But the vibes feel that he's an improved shooter. So like I'm curious to see how this bears out. I mean I didn't really realize this until I looked at the numbers, and we're gonna talk about this on Thursday's show when we play some stat factor fiction. So I'm gonna put a pin in it for now. But he was like
Chris is really excited about this on a Tuesday night that he gets to share numbers with me. The human abacus gets to clink
See, here's the
clank
thing.
for the next
Here's
30
the thing.
minutes.
I'm not a human abacus. I just like I am a note taking fiend who likes to be organized and have.
I'm the
thoughts.
real hooper. Chris is that analytics dork. I'm just like
Anyway,
I take fouls are a-okay by me because I understand Dragon Ball Z references.
I'm literally gonna hurt you. Evan, I want to ask you. I have two questions
Chris
coming
is,
out of this game.
Chris is safe word is take fouls.
You're saying a lot of inappropriate things in the show, and I'm a little concerned.
Justin Rowan called it locked on horny, so it's fun.
Yeah, okay. Does this game change? Did this game reveal something to you or make you think a little bit differently about Lauri Markkanen as a defender?
No, this is kind of what I expected. I know there were times when they kind of threw him at Jokic and Embiid where they said, okay, Lauri, we need you just to be a body against these two. Try your best. I think we saw this. I pointed this out when they lost to the Grizzlies in their season opener. Like Desmond Bane and Ja Morant took turns forcing Markkanen to switch onto them, and he cannot defend them in space whatsoever because he's got heavy feet. It is what it is. I've always felt this way about Lauri Markkanen. I think he performs well. I think he looks a little more put together than he does or when he did in Chicago, especially towards the end of his time with the Bulls. But I've never had a super high expectations. I always considered him the weakest link defensively for Cleveland and just that starting five in general of Garland, Okoro, Markkanen, Mobley, Allen. Obviously, and like Garland's not a great defender either, but he plays his ass off, and he's a pretty solid positional defender for what it's worth. But no, Markkanen is already out of position already by playing the 3. He's more of his natural spot playing the 4. Unfortunately, he drew the assignment of LeBron James tonight, which just kind of really puts into full focus how he's just not a very good defender. And I've always felt that way.
Yeah, I think Allen obviously really made his role simple, and I think he succeeded in that role, and it's just a little tricky right now.
I think having Mobley and Allen as your backline defense helps a lot, and I think having Okoro apply pressure on the perimeter helps a lot.
And that is now like that has now been like stretched out in a very troublesome way where things have all kind like the whole like if everything's like on a string, that string is now like kind of unwinding a little bit.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's fair, and I don't know. It is what it is. I think it's an interesting wrinkle the Cavs are running. I think offensively, it's starting to find its groove after Markkanen has been out with injuries and just COVID and stuff. But defensively, I always just think it wasn't going to be a huge win, and I think it may be getting played out because the Lakers gave a solid 48-minute sample of game footage of what to do if you want to just kind of make life hell for the Cavs on offense and defense because they look completely out of sorts, especially with Mobley. That's how he got into foul trouble because he has to overcommit helping defend the rim because Lowry gets blown assignments every single time.
Yes. All right. Last question, and then we got a little Dean Wade update that we need to hit on. But where are you, Justin, give me like a 1 to 10. I'm gonna unpack this with Danny in detail. So I'm gonna save my takes on this until Wednesday's show. Karis LeVert, 16 minutes in this game, was in a little bit of foul trouble. Ended up having 5 fouls, 13 points, 4 of 7 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 4 of 4 from the line. Had 2 assists and 2 turnovers. Doesn't feel like he is not like Kevin Love is like the real 6th man on this team, and LeVert is sort of like the 8th guy on the bench. Obviously, the foot sprain didn't help things.
I think he's the 7th man on this bench.
Okay, 7. Whatever. Just pick a number. Whatever. Just in terms of
6.
Okay, I think Jetty technically came in before him in this game, though. Sort of. And Jetty
Kevin
played.
Love and
Jetty,
Levert were deployed at the same time. Then Jetty was deployed with
Jetty
Brandon
played.
Goodwin.
Okay, whatever. Jetty played 18 minutes. Doesn't really matter. And Levert played 16 because of foul trouble. Blah blah blah. Here's my real question. Are you at all concerned about him helping this year? Are you at all like how this has gone so far? Like how would you just evaluate what we've seen just from the Levert so far? Because we haven't talked about him really at all aside from the injury. It feels like.
Well, there's not much to talk about because I
But like
still don't.
that's like a problem. I think that's like the problem.
He's been very unremarkable with his time at the Cavaliers. Yes, I think there are some interesting things he provides. He's a bigger bodied playmaker. I think the playmaking aspect is kind of underrated in his game. Like he made some really sharp passes tonight. He's consistently made just short passes coming off the bench for the Cavs. I think the closing lineup of Garland, Levert, and Okoro just as like your guard/forward pairing right there is interesting for the Cavs and JB Bickerstaff to deploy. I just don't think there's enough footage for me to digest to really say, like, okay, I have a 10, 15 game sample of this is what Karis LeVert's been so far. I told you there's moments he makes me think of like Jordan Clarkson where he'll just dribble the hell out of the ball and just kind of like dribble all over the court and then slop something up and either it goes in or it doesn't. There's interesting things. I just want to watch him put it all together because he was pretty unremarkable offensively tonight. You pointed it out, like it's pretty 16 minutes and he had foul trouble, but there was a stretch for maybe 5-6 minutes where he played some pretty solid defense for the Cavs. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't expect that. Like he was playing really well positionally and kind of on switches and things like that. And he's a pariah. He's a bit of just a mystery box for me still. And I don't know what he necessarily provides. I think you're asking him to kind of just lift some of the scoring burden for the Cavs. And he sometimes does that for them off the bench, but the playmaking aspect has really been his biggest impact. I think he's just trying to find his groove and just the overall dichotomy of this Cavs team offensively because, like, people point out Okoro having this leap. Okoro could easily regress right back to where he was offensively because he's not going to get as many shot opportunities.
I mean, he's not
back.
Statistically, his shooting numbers in March have not been as good.
Oh, they're not sustainable. But I'll enjoy the ride, and hopefully this is an uptick of things to come.
Yeah, he had a stretch in the third quarter where LeVert had 7 points in about like a 2-minute stretch. I'm a little bit just kind of on it so far. There's just like moments where you see effortful defense. There's moments where you see some of the scoring, and then he like.
Do you regret giving up the first round pick for him then?
No,
if you were the Cavs?
No, I mean I think it was a risk worth taking. I think I understand.
Let's be frank. I don't think you're going to be able to get a rookie that provides a similar impact because you have to develop said rookie.
Yeah, I mean it's. I don't really have I think like regret if I'm the Cavs. I think I'm just a little like this is just a near. I feel as if this is. It's not like as like the worst case scenario because he didn't get hurt right away and you've seen him and there's still time to kind of get some momentum at the end of the season. Then maybe that can set the stage for next year with him. I think the problem is that like you brought him in to win basketball games this year and it hasn't exactly manifested itself yet because of some injuries and just the weirdness of what's going on there. All right, Evan, last note, Dean Wade.
The only opportunity lost here is they could not get Nikola Jovic from Serbia.
Hope the Nuggets get him just so they have Jokic and Jovic.
Actually, he's slotted to go 20th to Denver right now in the Tankathon mock, so that's funny.
Yes.
That'd be really funny.
Need it. All right, injury update. First reported by Shams Charania on Monday morning. Dean Wade is going to be out indefinitely with a meniscus injury.
What time did you report that?
Are you... What are you trying to like? What's going on here, Evan?
I reported it like first thing this morning. I got a text, Mr. Shams Charania. Why don't you support your local podcast host? I'm scrolling. Okay. I'm scrolling through my phone angrily while you share this. Dean Wade's out possibly 3 to 4 weeks, but JB Bickerstaff said pre-game he's out for the foreseeable future due to a torn meniscus after an evaluation Monday at Cleveland Clinic Courts.
Yeah. So Dean Wade, who is a useful piece for this Cavs team. Evan, here's the thing. I didn't look at Twitter this morning. I'm not a nut.
I reported at 10:49 a.m.
There was some scuttlebutt about this over the weekend. I think everyone sort of knew that something was a little bit off here. Dean Wade is just they're down.
Definitely something was off when they said the pain got worse, which is never a good thing.
Yes. So Dean Wade is going to be out. They're down another rotation piece. That's just
I kicked my cat in the face.
It's just a bummer for Dean Wade. and here's hoping he gets better soon. I guess like it makes it clear that like Lamar is just gonna kind of just be like Lamar is starting right now playing well, but it's just kind of like okay, this is gonna be a big stretch for Lamar, and just him a chance to think it just get some regular minutes here. But Dean Wade is a useful depth piece, especially because they're just down big right now. They've had a lot of injury luck, and Dean Wade's just another ticket that, especially because like it seems like Rajon Rondo is not any closer to coming back right now because he went from being doubtful to out on the injury report from game to game here. So things are just Cavs are still a little bit banged up. And Dean Wade, well, he's not a perfect player, not like a locked in rotation guy in this team based on how JB has played him this year, but he's useful. He's a good deputy. He's had some really really good moments, and I think they would obviously just like to be healthy as they're kind of hitting the stretch run here.
Yeah, I mean, I think just in general, this Cavs team wishes they were healthy. It's going to be a big what if for me, honestly, this year. Of where would this Cavs team be if Rubio was available, if Sexton was available? Like, God, that feels so long ago, but that felt like a backbreaker for the Cavs and Colin Sexton went down for the year. But it is admirable they're able to weather this adversity they keep getting hit with. But Dean Wade isn't like a huge blow. I think it's just unfortunate. It is what it is. Thankfully, I don't think he needs surgery because it was only partial tear his meniscus. He just have to hopefully let it heal and see how he gets back from there. And yeah, just keep trucking forward. It's just like you said, Lamar Stevens will likely be the starting 3/4, depending on how Biggerstaff deploys him and Mark in the starting lineup going forward. And this is another opportunity for him to really, like you said, carve out consistent minutes in this rotation come playoff time as well, because it's going to shrink. Moses Brown isn't going to be playable. Brandon Goodwin isn't going to be playable come playoff time. The Cavs are going to have to make some tough decisions. And this is kind of like an opportunity for a guy like Mar to audition to the coaching staff and say, hey, I'm providing you a lot of energy on both ends of the floor. You should keep playing me if this team's fully healthy.
Yes, I think the last thing on this is just I tend to look at the I just want to note this on Sexton. I think we're gonna have a discussion with him at the end of the season. He'll be obviously something we talk about a lot whenever the off season comes, whether that's in April.
I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
I think he is just I think that is the biggest what if of this Cavs season.
Oh, I don't know where you're going with this. Okay, keep going.
I just think what happened with him and the timing of it and all of it, and the timing for him as a player and a person and a human being
Makes you
where
wish
he's
you
at in his
took that
career.
extension.
Well, it's not even just that. It is just like everything about it, when it happened, all of it, and the success they've had. It's just one of the most complicated what if unfortunate injuries that I can think of recent memory, and I think about that. I think about that with him quite a bit.
I do think about the hit with him quite a bit too. And folks keep asking me. I'm sure they keep asking Chris. They keep asking everyone.
He's not.
I don't think he's coming back this season. I don't think he's coming back for the playoffs because Chris pointed this out to me, and it was a very smart point at the game tonight. He'd be on the bench with the Cavs right now. He wouldn't be back rehabbing in Atlanta. He'd be in the facilities, kind of gearing himself back up. I mean, he's probably in phenomenal shape and needs to get back into playing shape. And the best way is with the training, and then he has to go through certain checkpoints and thresholds to prove that like his knee is okay to play extended minutes. And also from a financial perspective, it doesn't make sense. And I think from the Cavs, just from like a player perspective too, because they seem to do right by their players, they wouldn't let him play if he was only at 65-70% of his capabilities right now.
And just look, if when guys, there's sort of like it can be sometimes vague, and I think the transparency can sometimes be lacking. Like it's always like ramping up is the code word now, and that's like the only way we can describe anything. But like Paul George is now playing like 4-on-4. Like you have to get into drills and practice. You have to be around the team in a significant way. And Colin, like maybe he'll come out in for the playoffs. I think it would be frankly good if he's around to just be in that environment. It might be sort of I would empathize with him as a person if that feels uncomfortable to him to some degree, right? But like it would be shocking to me if he like it is not like there's footage of him playing 4-on-4 with the team at Independence at the practice facility, right? Like
there's footage of him rehabbing and dribbling by himself or doing one-on-one drills.
Well, he's like in very recently been in high school games back in Atlanta, and like
that's what I'm saying. Like you pointed out, he'd be in Cleveland right now, if not in Atlanta.
He would be like there's just it's complicated. I hope for him that like he obviously gets right and all that stuff, but
and we're not trying to be the Eeyores of the Cavs podcasting sphere. We're just being realistic. I think people just have a lot of high hopes because of that Chris Fedor article, and he buried the lead a lot in that article too, and said
I
like
mean, look,
he's not
Colin
coming back.
also like
And then the
Colin
Cavs also kind of came out. And
yeah, I
said,
mean, look, Colin said what he said. Like I empathize with the writer in that sense. When Colin tells you that, you just kind of got to deal with it. Like it's not like the tricky
you
part
don't leave
about
your
it.
tweets
Yeah.
and your headlines like that saying he's coming back
Okay,
to the playoffs because
like,
people
why-
don't bother.
Evan, let's stop.
We
Let's
live in a
look,
TikTok world where we
Evan,
only consume 60 seconds of content.
Evan, let's stop.
Oh, here comes Chris to sell God again. Good vibes only.
No, there's no need for bad energy. Okay, that's just good vibes. Colin Sexton will be a big part of our offseason. We'll talk about him again then, but put a pin in what we've said here and come back to it.
Stay hydrated, folks.
Look, stay hydrated, be
good
well,
day.
chew your food, cut everything into small bites. We'll be well. I'll be back tomorrow. Danny Cunningham from ESPN 850 will be with me to talk about Karis LeVert. He has a take about Darius Garland I'm still thinking about that I feel is pretty bold, and I think we'll have a fun time talking about it. Until then,
I teased
Chris,
it. It's
and
going to be a good one.
Evan, I believe, has something dropping tomorrow that people will want to check out and read, don't you? You said something to me about this at the game tonight. Unless I misheard you because it was very loud. Did I mishear you? Anyway, there's a story you might have.
I have nothing planned for tomorrow.
Okay, then go read his Lamar Stevens story that is pinned on his profile. It's good. Go read it. Anyway, be well. Stay safe.
I am so confused on what you're talking about.
I'll tell you after the fact. Everyone, be well. Talk to you soon.